Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on a Monday show. We got the Brewers exhibition coming up here today. We also got roster news, we got cuts, and we got to talk about the spring breakout over the weekend as well. But the Brewers finally have an opening day starter named, and it is Jacob Misiorowski. Not too much surprise when we talked last on Friday's show, talking about how Brandon Woodruff struggled to get through 60-some pitches, getting built up as he continues to recover from the lat injury last year. And it's like, okay, velo starts to dip pretty significantly pretty early into the outing. The next day, before Misiorowski is slated to start, the Brewers announce that Misiorowski is going to be the opening day starter in his final tune-up there of the spring. So it makes sense. It's going to be a very exciting pitching matchup, Misiorowski versus Shane Smith on opening day on Thursday here. So it's great news for him. He had a story to tell when he got told the news that Murph and Yelich brought him in and told him that his rookie talent show performance was not quite good enough. And so to work on it, they made him the opening day starter. So just kind of a little messing around with him. He did not tell us what his talent show performance was for the rookies in front of the rest of the clubhouse. He kept that in there, which totally makes sense, as you should. But yeah, very exciting news from Misiorowski. And again, with Woodruff struggling to maintain velocity to 60 pitches, it just makes the most sense to give him a little bit more time. We'll see if he ends up needing an IL stint or not with Woodruff. They have not declared that quite yet. We just know that Miz is going to be starting opening day. But for the rest of the group, that is going to be kind of some determining factor here for these final spots. Because if Woodruff is healthy, okay, if Woodruff does not need an IL stint, which they haven't said that he does, they might just put him at the back end of the rotation here in the early going, then your roster seems pretty much set with the camp cuts that the Brewers have made here. So the Brewers, as camp has broken, the Brewers have left Phoenix and Cactus League play is done. They are returning here to Milwaukee and getting settled in town here. So that's done, and they have made their decision on who's flying with the team to Milwaukee. And Robert Gasser and Shane Drowan were not among the guys slated to join the team in Milwaukee. They were the last cuts here in camp for the Brewers. It came down to a couple of options. It came down to Gasser, Drowan, Brandon Sproat for that final starting rotation spot, provided everyone's healthy. And Brandon Sproat ends up getting the gig in the rotation, and Gasser and Drowan will start the year in AAA Nashville. Now, this is all assuming, again, that Woodruff does not need an IL stint and that Kyle Harrison does not need an IL stint, because Harrison left his start with a blister. He said it should be fine. Shouldn't have costed him more than a day. So he still should be good. Woodruff, kind of a little bit unsure of if they want to put Woodruff on the IL. Very good chance that either Gasser or Drowan will have that option pulled back, and they will instead be on the active roster for opening day. They don't have to set the official roster until Wednesday at 11 a.m., I believe. So they've still got a couple of days just to be sure. We got the exhibitions coming up, more on that as we'll get there. But the final roster cuts have been made. So just looking at the group of what they've done with position players, pitchers, it seems quite clear what they're rolling with. So for the opening day roster, in the outfield, you're going to have Jackson Chourio, Sal Frelick, Garrett Mitchell, Brandon Lockridge, and Christian Yelich. On the infield, you're going to have Andrew Vaughn, Jake Bowers, Bryce Terang, Joey Ortiz, Luis Rengifo, and David Hamilton. Your catchers will be William Contreras and Gary Sanchez. Reese McGuire, who was signed to a minor league deal with a non-roster invite to camp, he exercised his release clause and is now became a free agent and very quickly signed with the Chicago White Sox. So Reese McGuire has found a new home, and he's going to be facing the Brewers for the first season or first series of the regular season. So that's a kind of an interesting home for him to find. Who knows if the White Sox are just trying to get him to, spill the deets for the plan for that initial series. But Reese McGuire, he's out, so that just kind of leaves those 13 position players in camp. So that group seems pretty well set. And then in the rotation, it's looking like you're going to have Mizorowski, Chad Patrick, Brandon Woodruff, Kyle Harrison, and Brandon Sproat in some order. How that order shakes out, we don't know quite yet. We know it's Jacob Mizorowski. After that, who knows? So that does leave a kind of a little bit open to interpretation for what the Brewers might want to do. But that's what it's looking like. It's going to be those 5 guys in the starting rotation at the get-go. And then in the bullpen, you're looking at Abner Uribe, Trevor McGill, Jared Koenig, Aaron Ashby, Angel Serpa, Grant Anderson, D.L. Hall, and Easton McGee, rounding out that 8-man bullpen. So that's what it's looking like it's shaken out to. It appears set. Now, again, there could be outside additions that the Brewers could make. Lots of teams are putting guys on waivers. Lots of guys are exercising out clauses, becoming free agents, guys that had strong camps, guys that had bad camps, whatever it is. There's going to be a ton of guys entering the market that the Brewers could look at and say, hey, we want to bring him in if they feel there's a deficit on their roster that they want to address. They have done that in the past. Who knows if they'll actually end up doing it this year, but barring any of that, this is the roster the Brewers will be going with for opening day. And we'll kind of see them continue to ramp up and get ready as we go through these exhibition games that are back here at American Family Field. We haven't really seen them for the last couple of years here, but we've they had it in the past, and then now it looks like they've started to bring them back. We have exhibition games at the home ballpark here for the Brewers. So they will be hosting the Cincinnati Reds in these exhibition games today and tomorrow at American Family Field. So if you want to go, certainly the Brewers are in town, and you'll be seeing some action here. These games won't count quite yet. They don't count until Thursday, but still, you're getting a couple of games in. Aaron Ashby will be on the mound to start for the Brewers on this game on Monday here. Brandon Sproat will get the start on Tuesday. So that would probably line him up to be the number 5 man in the rotation. But again, Pat Murphy hasn't exactly set the order of how those guys are going to work out. But yeah, we are going to have baseball in Milwaukee today. The Brewers will be playing in Milwaukee today. We are finally here. We have finally come about it, and I am incredibly excited for it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be hanging out at the game, so I am very excited for that, to get this exhibition series off and rolling here for the Brewers. Brady Singer will be the starting pitcher on the mound for Cincinnati. So that game is going to be at 6:40 here tonight. So very, very excited for that, to get some Brewers baseball live and in person here. And I'm really hoping that they'll bring the warm weather back with them. We had the warm weather on Saturday, and it was really, really nice. And then all of a sudden, it has gotten cold again, and I'm really annoyed by it. But this is Wisconsin. This is what happens. So I'm not surprised by it. I'm annoyed by it, but I'm not surprised by it. But the Brewers will have these exhibition games coming up. Very excited for that. And then after that, Thursday, opening day. It's here, 3 days away. We are in the week of opening day. It is hard to believe how quickly it has gotten here. But also, before we get there, there has also been the spring breakout games that have happened here over the past couple of days. The Brewers had 2 of them. And I think, honestly, that might have just been because MLB knows the Brewers have one of the best farm systems in all of baseball, and they just want more chances to showcase those prospects. So the Brewers had 2 games with their spring breakout, one on Friday and the last one on Sunday. They were the only spring breakout game going on Sunday. Last one left as everyone's getting ready to depart for the regular season. And the Brewers had some pretty good performances in these games. They went 1-1. They beat the Mariners 7-3 in the game on Friday, and then on Sunday they lost to the Athletics 9-8. It was a back and forth kind of game, but really You got a couple of really strong performances. Eric Batanti homered. Darian Miller homered there in that game against the A's. Blake Burke went 2 for 3. Jesus Made had a leadoff double, which was immediately followed by an RBI single from Luis Pena. So that got the Brewers up 1-0 early on. Absolutely love to see that. Jesus Made continuing to just impress with his spring. Luis Pena, who has done a lot of impressing as well, he homered in the game against the Mariners. So he was able to showcase some pop there. He's not really known as the power hitter of the two. Jesus Made has more pop in his bat, but Pena showed off the power there in that game against the Mariners. Mariners had Ryan Sloan on the mound for the first 3 innings, and he carved up that Brewers lineup. My God, he was incredible. And then you get Cade Anderson out there, the first round pick, top 3 pick in last year's draft out of LSU, and then the Brewers started lighting him up. It's like Cade Anderson, Schmade Anderson. I mean, the Brewers could finally get some things going against him and get some offense. So that was fun to see. The Brewers able to get the win there. The prospects absolutely showing out. Bishop Letson started that game, showcasing some absolutely nasty stuff. Wasn't super effective, only went 1 1/3, but still, he's able to get in that game, showcase himself pretty well and impress in front of scouts, as also did Bryce Message, who pitched 3 innings in there as well. Jaron DeBerry, 2 innings of scoreless ball with 3 strikeouts. He looked really good. 3rd round pick, hasn't really generated a ton of headlines, but still really, really good pitcher, knows how to spin the ball pretty well. And then you look at the game on Sunday. Tyson Harden, 2 innings. Brett Witrowski, 2/3 of an inning, gave up a couple of runs, kind of struggled there. Ethan Dorchis went 2 scoreless innings. So you got some decent arms looking good in there as well. A lot of these arms are kind of lower down in the system, but still it is a very, very impressive group that the Brewers have across their farm system. I mean, these spring breakout games are absolutely fantastic, and it's a great way for the Brewers to showcase the type of talent that they have coming up in the years ahead. And also, too, this didn't, Andrew Fisher, who has made a great impression this spring as well in the World Baseball Classic for Team Italy, now back in Brewers camp, and he plays in these games as well. And Fisher, he had a ringing double in the game against the Athletics on Sunday. But I think the one that was more impressive for me was a double that he had the other day in actual Cactus League play, where he faced off against Mason Miller. That's right, the closer for Team USA, the closer for the Padres, who throws 102, and Andrew Fisher turned around 102 miles an hour below the zone and ripped it to center field for a ground rule double. I mean, he smoked that pitch. And that was the first extra base hit Mason Miller had given up in his last 30 outings. That includes spring training. That includes the World Baseball Classic. That includes postseason, regular season. His last 30 outings, he had not given up an extra base hit, and Andrew Fisher turned around on 102 off them to break that streak. Just incredible. A phenomenal camp for Andrew Fisher. It is not going to be long until he gets to Double-A this year. He could move quickly. I've seen some say that he could get to Milwaukee by the end of the year. I think that'd be a little too aggressive for the Brewers to promote him to Milwaukee by the end of this season, especially when you have Brock Wilken and Jet Williams and Cooper Pratt and all these other prospects, Mike Bove as well. All these other prospects that can also play like at that spot, at the corners there, and they're ahead of him in the system. I would imagine that the Brewers would want to give some sort of legitimate chances to at least 1 or 2 of those guys first before they turn to Fisher. But still, I mean, we'll see if he's able to continue to hit this well, but he is absolutely on a heater to start the season. So very excited for what Fisher is going to do as the season goes along. So the future is bright for the Brewers. The present is also bright. And it's even brighter because we are finally coming up on regular season baseball. It's coming up on Thursday. This Thursday, We will have Brewers baseball tonight, in Milwaukee, in American Family Field. I am absolutely thrilled for it. So it is going to be great to cover this team this season. Be sure to subscribe to Brewers Daily, get notified every single time new episodes drops, because we will be here all throughout the season. And follow me on Twitter at dgasper24 as well. Appreciate you watching, appreciate you enjoying, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.